think Sandhurst will win, but I think I would like to see Strathfieldsaye win in a funny sort of a way this afternoon. Let's get it underway. Round 13 in Bendigo footy is the Storm and the Dragons, two of the big rivals in the competition. Here's John Hunter.
Hosking wins the first tap for the Dragons and sends it forward to Lee Coughlin by hand. He dishes it off to Smith. Smith now for the Dragons, inside forward 50. Maxted ran underneath the football. 30 metres out from goal now. In attack, City end. They call to the umpire. Umpire Baxter will have not one bar of it and says, I'll throw it up. 30 metres out directly in front. Sandhurst in attack. 25 seconds gone, opening term.
Tosses it up immediately, does Baxter. And Matt Thornton wins it down. Boat Stevens was prolific last week for Strathfieldsaye. Kerno lays a good bump off the football at half forward for the Dragons. He's got Malik Gordon diving on top of him. Youngster for Strathfieldsaye. Looking forward to watching him go about his business this afternoon. He's a tough customer, Malik Gordon. Now over the top of the footy is Lockie Wright for the Dragons. It's not coming out again. A little bit of push and shove between Hosking and Geordie Wilson. And we'll have a ball up. Minute played. No score on the board as yet.
As another stoppage, it's going to be a free. In fact, it's a free kick.
Yeah, free to Sandhurst, holding the man.
It'll be Stagg with the free kick for the Dragons. Geez, they're trying to give away a 50 here, the Storm.
And James Coughlin's got the job on Lockie Sharp to start the game.
And they're putting a bit of attention into Noah Walsh as well. Strathfieldsaye.
Stagg inside forward 50, but intercepted nicely by the Storm, by Blandford. He spreads it wide to Shishka of the Storm. Dragons doing all the attacking at the moment. Shishka, short pass, barely the required distance. Spots up a teammate, hard up against the boundary line. It's Hunter Lawrence with the footy. Just slow and deliberate short pass. Spots up another hit, so they're sharing it around nicely. No score on the board. We've gone 1.5 minutes. Opening term, footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Baxter Slater to centre half back. Return serve to Lawrence, who can open things up through the middle of the ground. Finds Benny Lester. He's got Gordon working to the wing. Feeds the handball back to Hallinan, who's bursting through the centre. Awkward kick up toward half forward. Brereton the target. Knocked away from him by Kerno at centre half back for the Dragons. Trying to step through the tackle, can Ford. He got the kick away somehow. Spilt to Smith, now to Collins. Sandhurst away on the broadcast side. Collins inside the 50 looking for Thornton. How does it bounce for him? Bounces well. Thornton slaps it onto the pocket. Shannon Geary's there to mop up though. So assured, ball in hand for the Storm. Then he's run down in a crunching tackle by Lee Coughlin. And they're on for some afters as well, those two. Tough customers, the pair of them. And we'll have a throw in right forward pocket. Dragons into attack. 2.5 gone. Opening term. No score on the board.
Umpire will throw it in. It'll be Hosking versus Brereton of the Storm. Hosking front position. He's a strong man. Taps it to the front of the pack. It went to Paul Pratt. Paul Pratt tried to find Collins with a hand and couldn't. Then a nice little party trick over the top there. It was with Hallinan of the Storm. And then the ball's kicked long to half back and then comes off hands. And it will be a ball in. No score on the board, 3 minutes gone. Opening term, footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, the thing I liked about that last forward entry for Sandhurst was they looked for Matty Thornton, which last week they didn't do a great deal.
Goalless last week. Thornton just kicked 2 in his last 3. Goalless in 2 of those appearances. Hosking down decisively to Stagg, who's wrapped up immediately by Gill. Hamish Hosking. Just brute force in the middle of the ground. He just tried to wrestle Brereton out of the way at that contest. And the Dragons get a handball inside the 50. Stagg it'll be downfield here. And so the ball will be in the arm of Andy Collins. Stagg dealt with as he got the handball inside the 50. And Andy Collins will have the first deliberate shot at goal. He'd have to kick it from just inside the 50. Slight angle to the right.
Yeah, Stagg, as he does usually, in and under, and he got that high tackle after he got rid of the ball.
17 goals on the season for Andy Collins. Usually a good finisher from 45 metres out. That is no exception. And he gets Sandhurst on the board at the Queen Elizabeth Oval. 1 straight the Dragons. The Storm yet to score. 4 minutes played, opening term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, as we've said, Sandhurst have had it their side of a centre for all bar probably 20 seconds in today's match. Strath have only gone forward once and it was repelled immediately by Sandhurst, and they're looking good at this stage and got the scoring end to start the quarter, so they need to make the most of it.
Back in the middle for the restart, umpire Baxter. It'll be Hosking again up against Brereton. Hosking for the Dragons. He is, Joel said, a brute of a man. He wins the tap on that occasion, but tapped it straight to Stevens of the Storm, who dished it off by hand to Riley Wilson. Will go shallow inside forward 50. Sharp was lurking. The ball is just socket out into the pocket, the back pocket. Hurried kick and pick up by McLean, which his kick is smothered. Then it's going to be a turn over the Storm inside forward 50, and we've got a mark, and the Storm will have their first shot at goal. And the man with the footy, I reckon that's is that Mulquinny with the ball?
Yep.
He will line them up 45-degree angle, and distance won't be a problem, Norm.
No, it won't be. And a good little, good foresight there from Malik Gordon. Just a lovely little chip into space, and was a comfortable mark by Mulquinny.
Mulquinny, Barnard Street end. Not a lot of wind. It's overcast. Rain seems to be threatening, but it's a poor kick. There was an opportunity lost. It's the minor on the score, the first score for the Storm of the afternoon. They trail, they won behind. Sandhurst 1 goal straight, 6 minutes gone opening term.
Spent most of the season down back, Darcy Mulquinny, only the 2 goals, and he kicked like it on that occasion, unfortunately. Long kick into the centre of the ground for the Dragons. Well done from Conforti. Outlets to Connick, who was running past. Bangs it on the boot up toward half forward. Bouncing ball knocked down intelligently by Ratcliffe. Into the direction of Hunter Lawrence, who was cruising past. His kick down the line, turned over. James Coughlin gets dumped into the turf by Shishka.
And gets a free for it for a sling tackle.
Dean Goodridge was straight onto that. Might be Conforti on the outer side, in fact, than it is. And Liam Island's on for a little bit of afters with James Shishka as well. So Sam Conforti's got it 80 from goal. Out at left half forward. Pokes it inside the 50. Presentation from Maxted. Couldn't take the mark. Hallinan's there at their feet inside the defensive 50 to Riley Wilson. Gets the arms free. Handball to Lawrence. To Clossy. They try and work it along the boundary line on the outer side. Geary got dragged down without the football. And the veteran, the 4-time premiership player, will take the free kick at right half back.
Shannon Geary, he looks inboard. In fact, he sends it deep into the defensive zone. Spots up Ratcliffe. It was safe.
He's an important inclusion for them, Norm, Shannon Geary.
Yeah, very much so. His experience is going to tell out through the midfield today.
They've horseshoed out of the back zone. Footies with Wilson. That's Jordan Wilson. Basically on left half back. Then he just goes down the line. It's probably a poor choice. He kicked it straight in the direction of Curnow. And Curnow's going to get a free kick because he was interfered with. Why kick down the line, Norm, straight to where Curnow is?
Well, that's true, and there was no need for Darcy Mulquinny to jump, though, because Curnow was covered from behind. I think the ball would have come to ground anyway.
Curnow, a short pass that goes basically 40 in the end. Blanthorne tried to trap it and couldn't. Then Coughlin gets involved for the Dragons. Hurried kick out of the pack by the Storm. In another world in the AFL, that would have been given out insufficient attempt by Riley Wilson, but it's not on this occasion. Ball in, centre wing.
Underneath the grandstand. 8 minutes played opening term. Dragons with the only goal on the board through Andy Collins. It's been a physical start. Both teams a little bit chippy out there. Hosking works his way to front spot. Clossy comes away with the clearance though. Handball to Slater. Almost missed the boot of Riley Wilson as he scrubs it forward, and Carraher comes bouncing off halfback. Links up by hand with Noah Walsh. And now wider still. 40 inboard. Walsh got run down. Wilson got him and turned the footy over for the Storm. Now they run it back the other way. Slater's handball to half forward. Back infield to Slater. He's got support now in Lawrence. Kick across the 50s. Not a good one. And Conforti got dragged down awkwardly by Gordon then he tried to play on. Gave it straight back to Malik Gordon, who kicks into the right forward pocket. Scrappy passage of play. Ireland can mop up in defence for the Dragons.
Yeah, they'll release the pressure. Probably got away with one then. As they go down the outer side wing, Paul Pratt got a cruel bounce. Numbers are with the Storm. Lawrence getting involved. Blanthorne received a handball. Short pass. Mulquinny laterally's got Radcliffe. Honours the lead. It bounces to him, but he's got time and space. Short pass. So they're on the broadcast side wing now. Brereton with the footy. Short pass to half forward. Building nicely. Receiving is Gordon of the Storm. Too far out to score. 70 from goal. He goes corridor. They'll set themselves. Defensively Dragons. They'll mop up through Coughlin. Short on the left towards the boundary line. And we've got a Dragons player down, Norm. as the Storm look to bring it back inboard. Good smothering kick. We're 70 metres from goal. Storm attacking, swimming pool side. A hurried kick by Connick to the wing. Blanthorne again picks it up and he'll kick it inside forward 50.
It's not a great kick though. Nally will pick that off pretty easily.
And that man that was down was Noah Walsh, but he's back up and running around, John.
So Nally inside defensive 50 for the Dragons. Directs his kick out to Maxted, who made the space and takes the mark overhead. Just defensive side of the wing on the outer side of the QEO. Rolls around onto his right boot. Kicks a lovely ball to right at centre half forward. That's a beautiful kick. Dropped it into the bucket. Now right straightens up. Kicks toward Collins. Knocked away by Hallinan. Did well. Smith's in there for the Dragons. 30 out from goal. Handball straight back to Hallinan, who's dragged down in the tackle. Not coming away with it. And a ball up 30 metres out from the Sandhurst goal at the city end. Dragons by 5. 10.5 gone opening term.
Umpire Baxter throws it in the air. Hosking, he tapped it straight down the throat of Joel Wharton, who put it on the left, but it was wayward. Good bit of classic ruck work, and Wharton was in the right place. Classic Rover as well. They had the double act, but it just was a minor. So it'll go to 1-1-7, the Dragons. 1 behind the Storm. 11 minutes gone. Opening term, footy fresh, is Bendigo Football Live.
It's been a good start to the game. Both sides are giving it their all. Both sides prepared to run the ball, and it's going to be a matter of who's the fittest at the end of the day.
Looks like Zach Prelpratt playing on Luke Webb at the moment, Norm, which is not a bad matchup because we know how damaging Webb can be for Strathfieldsaye.
Yeah, well, he was the one that got the hand into that last inside 50 to get the ball to ground, or it would have been an easy mark to Maxted, who was coming out on the lead.
So Maxted took the free kick as the ball went out of bounds on the full. Directs it back to Curnow. Of course, Strathfieldsaye premiership player in 2019. Kicks turned over straight to Shannon Geary. Back now to Riley Wilson on the last line of defence for the Storm. Hand pass forward to Hallinan. Now to Slater. Now to Clossy by hand. He tried to get out of the tackle of Conforti. Ball spilt loose. Picked up by Smith. Just blazes away. It's a poor kick in the end. And an easy intercept mark by Alexander inside defensive 50 for the Storm.
He'll send it wide. Mel Quinney, hands on the footy. Then he's good enough. He fumbled it, but then socketed along the ground towards the boundary line. Curnow tracks it. Can't win the footy before it goes over the line. And outer side wing. Swimming pool side, it'll be a ball in. 6-point margin. Dragons lead. Umpire will throw it back in. Hosking grabbed it out of the air, then a little short pass. Gives it to Smith. Smith will go inside forward 50. Thornton, geez, he had a heap of it. Then he kept his feet, then lost. 30 metres out, directly in front, but the Storm will mop up. Nice bit of work at the back door and a hurried kick outside 50. The Storm, handball, Monty getting involved. Short pass in the direction of Bonnie. Bonnie also, but they'll cough it up again. Turnover. It is Hosking who goes goalward right to the goal line. Off hands. Minor score. Good build up again. 1-2-8, the Dragons, 1 behind the Storm. 13 minutes gone, opening term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, good bit of work from Big Hosking there, the ruckman. He showed the Rover how to pick the ball up on the run and made good use of it.
I thought the nice bit of work was him hedging his bets with the celebration. He did the fist pump when he kicked it, Normie, and then slapped the fist when it didn't make the distance. So he really had a bob each way. Crashing the pack there was Brereton to knock it loose at half back for the Storm. Handball finds Clossy, kicks up toward half forward. Sharp makes some space. Coughlin was right there with him. Got a hand in. Great tackle, Geordie Wilson to wrap Nally up. Got the handball out toward the boundary line for the Dragons. And it goes over and out in front of Darryl Wilson watching on the bench for the Strathfieldsaye Storm. Haven't kicked a goal yet, the Storm, the visitors. They trail by 7 points through 14 minutes in the opening term. Joel Peterson, John Hunter, Norm Jenkin with you. Footy fresh. Is Bendigo Football Live, round 13 here at the Queen Elizabeth Oval. Decidedly down in front spot, Joseph Mays. He's going to get it back here as well, Will Mays. Kicks inside the 50. Curnow read it best and takes a terrific intercept mark in the end. He had his name written all over it. It was a bit tougher than it looked like it might have been for Bryce Curnow. But he's got it inside the back arc for the Dragons and he can set things up once more.
So it'll be a long ball. Geez, it's gone 60. Big mark, though. Storm in the middle of the pack. The big ruckman is only young. In fact, it's Monty that's taken the mark. Geez, doesn't look that tall when he's not close to you, Norm. He's got a bit of height about him. Short pass, that's barely the required distance. Down the line. It's with Alexander. Alexander now for the Storm. Short pass. Gee, they've got some slow, deliberate movement amongst them. Shishka takes it. Then he plays on. Short pass away again, and he spots up a teammate right on 50, so they've worked it nicely. And it's with Slater. And not sure if he's got the distance, Norm.
It'll take a good kick from there. He's going to kick from outside 50, a 45-degree angle.
He goes to the goal line. They'll set themselves. Carraher gets his hands on the footy. Comes off hands, minus score. Got a frog in the throat there, Joel. You going to rescue me, or what are you going to do?
I'll do what I can, Johnny.
Thank you.
I'll do what I can. Rushed behind, makes the margin 6. 15.5 gone opening term. Haven't really created too much space inside forward 50 yet, the Storm. Norm, as Carraher comes off half-back. Kick doesn't hit the target, out of bounds.
No, that's a credit to Sandhurst defence, and we've seen over the last 2 years that Sandhurst defence has been great, and they're a good unit again this year. They were shown up a little bit last week by Joel Brett.
Strengthened by the inclusion of Kerno back there as well. Gee, Lockie Bonnie's keen trying to run into Hamish Hosking, and then Alexander took him on as well. Storm almost came away with it. Spills out the back door. Picked up by Matt Wilkinson, and a kick to half forward. Thornton's out to mark it. In the centre square, lofts it inside the 50. Hand to it by Lester. It'll spill to Blandford inside defensive 50 for Strathfieldsaye. Measures the kick. Did he get it?
Yeah,
right
easily,
on the line?
easily, yep.
Mays takes the mark right on the chalk. Slips over as he goes back to take his kick, and now he's called to move it on by Dean Goodrich. Still the Dragons by 6 points as Mays kicks down the line. It's clattered out of play underneath the grandstand, and it'll be tossed back in.
Kangaroo Flat down at the graveyard have got the lead. It's 5-point margin, so good start to them, and also all tied up at Maryborough.
Now Maryborough 4 points ahead now, so 2 straight to 1-2.
You got the direct line.
Got the direct line. Would like to mention as well, this game being played for the Brian Mansbridge Cup, of course, today. Famous time-honoured trophy that one is, Johnny.
Is it? As the ball goes
good
inside
grab.
forward 50.
Good grab.
It was a slips catch. Noel Walsh for the Dragons across half back. He's got a plethora of players to choose from. Kicks it to Wilkinson. Matthew Wilkinson looks inboard. Jeez, he spots up Walsh. That was a good hit as well on the wing. He'll go further to the opposite side flank. Connick, good contested mark. 1-on-1, then dishes it off the hand to Paul Pratt. Paul Pratt goes inside looking for Thornton. Geez, a juggling ball, couldn't quite get it. Hallinan under pressure. They'll share it around with a series of handballs, ends up with Lawrence. Lawrence goes towards the boundary line and it bounces over 70 metres around from the Dragons' goal. Swimming pool side, scoreboard reads a 6-point margin, 1-2-8 to the Storm, 2 behind. Almost 18 minutes gone opening term.
Yes, unless either of these two sides can isolate players up forward, it's going to be a low-scoring game today because the back lines are on top.
Ball thrown back in, slapped down towards Shannon Geary. Just a little inverse barrel as he stepped over the boundary line and went out of play near the junction of the 50 and the boundary.
It's got a nicer sound to it than a dead pigeon, Joel, I must admit.
It does.
The inverse barrel.
The only time these two met in a grand final, Norm, 2015, and was it Sandhurst goalless at half-time? They might have had 6 behinds. I'll look that up in a second, but they did meet in one grand final, these two teams, and in that dominant era that they each had, and of course it was Strathfieldsaye coming away with the chocolates that day. Sandhurst returned serve in 2016 to beat Golden Square in the grand final. The infamous brawl at three-quarter time that had spectators on the ground. They had to clear them to allow, I think it was James Coughlin to have a shot at goal. The ball will be tossed back in on the outer side. Hosking front spot. Mays and Brereton are going to have a really tall task against them this afternoon. The competition's dominant ruckman spinning straight into the tackle there was Lockie Hood. He's not coming out of the vice grip. At half-back for Sandhurst, still locked up on that outer side. 1-2, place 2 behinds. Almost into time on here in this opening term.
Umpire will throw it up. Hosking doing all the ruck work for this opening term. The Dragons will win it. Spills into the direction of McLean. He lost the ball. Hallinan picks it up for the Storm. Handball to the back door, nice to Gill. Now they're away. He went by hand to Geary. Geary further afield to Bonnie. Bonnie handball over the top. The Storm are attacking now to the goal square. Sharp gets his hands on the footy. Keeps his feet. He's tracking it. These are the danger signs. He's still tracking the football. Then he gets upended. Good support though. Storm have got numbers. Series of handballs ends up with Wilson. Wilson short pass. Round the body. Malquini goes goal. In fact, it's Wilson goes round the body. And that was their best chance for the afternoon so far for a minor score. 3 behinds to 1-2-8 the Dragons. 20 minutes gone opening term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Had a couple of opportunities there. Both Wilson boys prominent inside the 50. Kick in to Joel Wharton. Hands it straight back to Noah Walsh, who kicks up toward Thornton, coming up at high half forward. Can't keep it in, over the line, out of play. 2015, Norm, I credited Sandhurst with a little bit too much. Half time in the grand final, and the weather was okay this day. It hadn't rained. 2-9-21 Strathfieldsaye to Sandhurst, 1 behind.
Yes, true. I can vaguely remember that game, and it was an interesting contest up until half time, and a little bit like the score's going to be today if it keeps going this way.
They ended up winning by 7 points that day, the Storm, 8-12 to 8-5. Sandhurst kicked 8 goals. They kicked 4 goals in the third, 4 goals in the fourth, but just couldn't get the job done in the end. Ball tossed back in, taken by Ratcliffe. He's wrapped up immediately by Lockie Wright, leading goal kicker for the Dragons this season with 32. We'll do it all again. Hosking slaps it forward. Cooper Smith's been prolific in the early stages. Free kick for a high tackle on Shannon Geary. Zach Polpratt was a little bit too strong on that occasion. And Geary will take it from inside the defensive 50.
Short pass. Clossy. They'll work it across half-back. Oh, took his eyes off the footy, Blanthorne, a little bit too easily. They've got numbers, though, and the kick will eventually spread wide back to Geary. 2 or 3 handballs there that were just really nervous. Started with Blanthorne taking his eyes off the footy when he should have just clunked it. Oh, turnover. Shannon Geary has kicked it straight. Well, he didn't kick it to Lockie Wright. Lockie Wright just managed to get a fingertip on it. The target, I reckon, might have been Slater. But right now takes a mark and he'll kick it from 48 metres. But classic mistake in the back line, Norm. You quite often see it, don't you?
You do, and credit to Lockie Wright there. He read where that ball was going and he sprinted and, as you say, got it in his fingertips and held on.
Probably wasn't a bad kick to start off with, but just the pace that Wright showed, the closing speed as he fires at goal and puts it through for a minor score.
He hit the post.
Poster. So 1-3-9 Dragons, 3 behind Storm, 22 and a half gone opening term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, and Sandhurst made a big move that day in that grand final, Joel. They moved Braden Blake from the back line to the forward line in the second half, and he was the spark that almost got Sandhurst over the line.
Can play in a grand final.
Well, can do. Well, as we saw last year. That's right.
Absolutely. And of course, Strathfieldsaye going down in last year's grand final. Long kick out of defence from the Storms.
Yeah, but poor kick.
Odd
Kicked
decision.
at the 3 Sandhurst players. They've got to lower their eyes coming out of defence.
Ross Curnow with intercept mark number 3 of the opening term. And now they can set something up again. Can Sandhurst. Low kick inside the forward 50. Looking for Thornton. It'll get out the back. Paul Pratt lurking. Webb took it. Handball to Riley Wilson. He got it through the traffic to Lawrence, who was clever to get it out to Mays. And now to Gill, just inside the defensive 50. He kicks it straight down the throat of Liam Ireland, who floats in and takes an easy, uncontested mark just forward of the wing.
Ireland, 6-point margin, Dragons. They feel like they're, but it's pretty even really across the ground, but I just think the Dragons have got their nose in front as the scoreboard indicates. That's to me. Walsh, short pass, Curnow receives. Short pass again. Conforti receives, then goes on the left. Bullet ball. Oh, he hit Lee Coughlin on the chest. It was just too quick from him in the end, I reckon. 48 metres out directly in front. They'll all get tied up, and it will be a ball up. How was the pass shallow inside forward 50?
Yeah, I think Coughlin there was just enough pressure from a Strath defender to keep the ball out, to make him miss the mark.
From the ball up, trying to make a path there. Conforti, he couldn't. Hosking getting involved. Conforti's got a bit of a sore noggin, I think. He's going to get up, holding the top of his head, and we'll have a ball up. 40 out in front.
Dragons attack, 6-point margin, 24 minutes gone, opening term.
They're all into Paddy Blandford inside defensive 50 for the Storm. And Strathfieldsaye come away with this ball. Kick up toward half forward from Slater. Coughlin left sharp and made it work in the end. Out wide now, Nally's got the football. He chips it up the line. Low kick from Hood. Looking for Lee Coughlin. Mays stands in the way. Handball out wide. Blandford got upended and met very solidly. And the ball might have just spilled out for a boundary throw-in on that outer side. In fact, it'll be a ball up. 1-3, plays 3 behinds. 25 gone opening term. You wouldn't imagine it'll be a long quarter with the lack of goal kicking. Here's Smith to Hood. It's centre half forward, finds Collins. The lone goal scorer out there who's got it right at the top of the 50. Lockie Ratcliffe not too keen to give him the ball back, and Andy Collins very keen to accept a 50-metre penalty that wasn't on offer. And so Collins will go back and might have a ping with it, maybe the slight breeze at his back. He'll have to kick from just forward of the centre square. Well, he's gone the tube. It's an awkward spinning thing, but it's done enough. Andy Collins from just outside the centre square has launched an absolute sack of a thing that's floated its way home. 2-3-15 the Dragons. Strathfieldsaye 3 behinds. Collins has got both for Sandhurst in the opening term, and that was the far less convincing of the pair.
Yes, you're right there, Joel. It was. He tried the torpedo. Didn't quite get onto it, but it held its line enough to get through. The big thing in this first quarter has been the pressure by both sides. The tackling's been good. You've got to make the most of any opportunity because there's not a lot coming for either side.
Restart in the middle. Umpire throws it up. Storm win it on that occasion through Brereton. Puts it down the throat of Wilson. Riley Wilson, it was an awkward-looking kick inside forward 50. Storm attacking now, Sharp. He's in the area. Picked up by Riley Wilson. Dishes it off by hand. It's further afield. Big punch. Shishka trying to get his hands on the football. Oh, good tackling, good defensive work by the Dragons. Deep in the zone. It's Hood getting involved. Good player. And he ties it all up. Yeah, that one of Andy Collins, he hit it really in the fat part of the footy, which made it just collect even further, Norm. That was the thing about it.
Yeah, that's true. And that last centre bounce, though, for me, should have been a free kick to Strath because, yes, Sandhurst only had 3 in the centre, but once the umpire's ready to bounce, your 4th player can't run in.
So throw in inside forward 50 for the Storm. Hosking works his way to the front and will get a free kick, even though he kicked it outside the defensive 50. So no advantage paid on that occasion. Hamish Hosking has got the footy for the Dragons, the big bullocking ruckman. 2nd season at Sandhurst.
It's good to see him doing that again this week, Joel, because last week when he got the ball in ruck, throw-ups or ball-ins, all he wanted to do was handball.
Curno's kick out wide. Went over the head of Connick and it was scooped up by Hood. Kicks to half forward. Hallinan's there just in the nick of time to intercept for Strathfieldsaye and bring the first term to a close. Couple of goals to Andy Collins. The only scoring in that opening term from a major sense for Strathfieldsaye, or for Sandhurst. Strathfieldsaye not on the board as yet. And it's been a physical game, a bit of a chippy opening term as well at times. Under overcast skies at the QEO. It's Sandhurst by 2 goals at the opening change. 2-3-15 the Dragons, 3 behinds the Strathfieldsaye Storm. Second quarter coming up very shortly. Footy fresh. Here's Bendigo Football Live. In that opening term too, he had a lot of it. Maybe his decision making and his disposal wasn't as he would have liked, but
yeah,
he can certainly find the footy. Can Cooper Smith. Speaking of, Bode Stevens was interesting to note this week. According to the stats, he had 37 disposals and 2 goals last week. Couldn't get into the best players.
All right, yeah, interesting.
So either there's an error with the stats or Bode Stevens is very, very stiff. And he's after the footy straight away to start the second term as well. Gets shoved off it by Nick Stagg. Dragons by 2 kicks. Tumbling it out of the middle of the ground for Sandhurst is Caleb Connick. Bouncing ball up toward half forward. Hallinan's right there with Collins. Clossey's in there to rip it away from them both. And a stoppage. He's an important inclusion as well for the Storm is Daniel Clossey, Norm.
He is. And
he's been dragged to the ground. He'll get a free kick.
He will get a free kick, yes.
Yes, he has got the free kick there. Interesting. He's a tough nut in and under all the time, and he puts pressure on the opposition at every chance.
Big Tim Wicks walking past. And excellent football nous and acumen of that particular individual. Of course, his son playing in the under-18s for the Dragons these days. Young Archer, bouncing ball, goes out at right half forward. Storm into attack to the city end in this term. Of course, they kicked to the city end in the second and fourth quarter of that 2017 grand final we played a little bit earlier, Johnny, and Lockie Sharp stationed inside forward 50 there at the moment.
From the throw-in, Riley Wilson end up with the football. They win at the Storm, inside forward 50, 30 metres out directly in front. Slinging tackle, dangerous tackle. No, that's what they're paying nowadays in the AFL. James Coughlin, Carraher breaks for him, receives, defensive arc of 50, Carraher down the line, Connick, his target, but it's going to be won by the Storm. Doing well was Gill. Series of handballs on the end of it was Gill again. He ran forward and he honours the lead by Jordan Wilson. 45 metres out, hard up against the boundary line. He'll go goalward. It's a pretty good kick. I reckon that's a goal.
No.
Wow.
Grazed the back of the post, I think.
Just shaved it.
Grazed the back of the post.
Everybody thought it was a goal, including me, obviously. 11-point margin now. They go to 4 behind the Storm. 2-3-15 Sandhurst. 2 minutes gone, second term.
It couldn't have hit the back of the post anymore if it tried. Turnover from the kick in. Gordon swooped onto it. Gave it away to Gill, but his handball went straight to Cooper Smith for the Dragons. Now they come out to right. So first score going the way of the Storm. Still yet to get a major in this game. Right, chips short to Smith. He'll pop it over the top to Wilkinson.
Wilkinson will look inboard. Corridor. Cooper Smith. He received a short pass. Left half back. Inboard they'll go now. They're looking to go corridor. Noah Walsh looks laterally to give it off by hand, but there's not the option that he preferred. Short pass to Matthew Wilkinson. He's wide on the wing now. He runs and goes. It's an awkward looking ball. Kind of held in the breeze a little bit at 50. Hosking overrang the footy. Mopping up now. It'll be the Storm. Another turnover. Ends up with Curnow. Don't argue by Hosking. Manages to shovel it out to Wilkinson. By hand to Joel Wharton. He's got right running for him. Shrugs off a tackle. Handballs wide. Paul Pratt around the body. They'll set themselves. Good defensive punch, Storm. Will they come again here, the Dragons? They won't, and the Storm will mop up.
Yeah, Stevens is there at half-back, hands it off to Slater. Got a runner out wide. Couldn't get it to him in the end in Mays, and pretty easily cut off by Carraher, who sends it wide to Nally. Tanner Nally's got an acre of space on the outer side at the QEO. Pokes it over the top, intelligent kick to Walsh. Now to McLean, who hoists one high into the sky inside forward 50. Bashed down by Brereton inside defence for the Storm. And then they find the safety of the boundary line. It'll be tossed back in. 20 around from the Hurst goal. Right forward pocket up at the Barnard Street end. Sandhurst by 11 points. Just the behind so far in this term to the Storm. We're 4 minutes through it.
If it's not raining, it feels like it should be. It's
it looks
dark.
like it should be.
Feels like it. Should be a little bit around, you'd reckon. Good hands by Hosking out of the ruck. He tapped it into the path. Might have been Conforti had a shot at goal. It was only for a minor score. 2-4-16. Dragons 4 behind Storm. 4.5 minutes gone. Second term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, that's what the Strathruckmen have got to watch. They can't let Hosking get out and get a clear tap, because that was a lovely tap to Conforti, and unfortunately he just couldn't make the most of his opportunity, and we're now waiting for the football to come back. It can't have gone too far.
How on earth did that? Is it got out that little hole in the fence?
It looks as though it has, yes. They're looking, it's gone outside there. Somebody outside's just found it.
There you go, trying to kick it over the net. Very good work. Got it over the top, landed on the roof, slide it on down, and we can get things back underway. And, gee, there, it's all change on the bench for Sandhurst. I think 12 blokes has just run onto the ground. How on earth has that happened? You got a whole new team out there just about. Storm bring it back into play. Webb will chip it short and find Hunter Lawrence, who sends a cannon up the line. Looking for Brereton, bashed it on into the centre of the ground. Thornton had to do some work down low. Ended up just soccering it on to McLean, and now Stagg for the Dragons. Kick to centre half forwards, an intelligent one into the path of Lee Coughlin. He taps it on to Smith. Ball bounced a little bit awkwardly for him, but now the low kick inside forward 50. In fact, came from Keating. Back to Coughlin, to Wharton, into the pocket to Collins. Andy Collins is marked. He's 20 metres around. He'll play on immediately for his third No, he's hit the behind post, so it's floated all the way across the face of goal. Struck the inside of the behind post, and Luke Webb will take it on the last line for the Storm. The margin's still 12 the way of Sandhurst.
Just doesn't feel like Storm have got potency at the moment to kick a goal. Need to get it to sharp as Webb. Bullet ball. Spotted up Slater in his defensive 50. Pinpoint accuracy. Short pass again. They're playing the same game, Norm, as they did last week against Golden Square, but the conditions suit a little bit better. Bonnie, short pass further afield. Got numbers. Finding space is Slater. Series of handballs. Bonnie getting involved again, and they'll move it down the outer side wing. Is this going to be their first chance? Good tackling by the Dragons. It'll be a turnover. Ends up with Cooper Smith. Smith goes down the line, and it's a mark to the Dragons going to Lee Coughlin.
So Coughlin plays on as Johnny loses his marbles inside the commentary box. Cooper Smith's kick inside the forward 50 to Blandford. We all right there? We didn't lose anything important, anything technical, did we?
Didn't want
the
water.
scalding cup of hot water as Conforti takes the football, kicks the full forward. Collins is marked, wheels around. This for number 3. Umpire says it's a behind. The mark being paid on, I reckon the goal umpire thinks that's a mark. The field umpire thinks it's not and that it was through for a behind. And the field umpire has overruled the goal umpire.
Because I think you find the boundary umpire was signalling that he'd gone through, which I can't see how the boundary umpire would have seen he was over the line and the goal umpire not.
Fair enough. After all that, it's only a behind, so Andy Collins has had a couple go begging already in this term. 2-5, plays 4 behind, and if it felt and looked like it should have been raining, Johnny, now it is.
It is. Kick in from fullback received by Mulquinny. Looking to bring it down broadcast side.
See extra Storm, Michael Pilcher just walking past the box.
Another good footballer.
Current Harcourt, I believe, Norm. You'll be able to tell us that. As the ball was an awkward kick to Shishka, but it'll be a turnover Dragons. It'll go back the other way. That's a hurried kick and a leading Joel Wharton receive. Polpratt was the Dragon that kicked it. Now Joel Wharton, he'll go to the top of the square. Didn't sense that it was a target that he was going for. It was just the area. Now a big defensive punch. Ball spills wide. Storm under pressure. Good tackling in the forward 50 by the Dragons. Might be a free kick, is it? For 1 too high, or is the umpire going to ball up? I think it's going to be the ladder. No, free kick. So Storm with the footy. Short pass. Lawrence, short pass further afield. Geez, they've got this possession game going, haven't they? Slater was an option, then he dishes it off by hand, and it's a long kick to the outer side wing.
It's not really going anywhere for the most part.
They did this week, last week, Joel, and under the conditions they mucked up because they were just over-possessing the football.
Yep, that's that's their game. That's always been the Darryl Wilson game. It's on hyperdrive this season for the Storm. They're possessing the ball more than any side in Victoria, captured by the Premier Data crew. Blandford in the middle of the ground, stabs the pass to centre-half forward, straight down the throat of Caraha. Poor kick in the end. And Isaac Caraha takes the ball inside defensive 50 for the Dragons. Flares his kick out wide. A bouncing ball in front of Collins sets him too steep a task. And it goes over the line and out of play. It'll be thrown back in. 2-5 Sandhurst. 4 behind Strathfieldsaye. 9 gone second term. Nice contingent down in front of the barbecue underneath the marquee. Beneath us here, Johnny.
Yep.
Hopefully they leave some of those chicken burgers there at half time. Otherwise you and I will be very upset.
And next week they have got their back to Sandhurst. So all supporters, players, anything you've had to do with the Dragons, if you come along next week, you'll get in for free, Joel, the big back to weekend.
Against the Bloods too, Johnny.
Yes, and we will be here calling that game, but at the moment we're calling this one. Collins gets on the end of a ball. He's at half forward. Probably too far out to score. Swings on the left. And he spots up Joel Wharton, who found some space. And Joel Wharton, who hasn't kicked a lot of goals this year so far, he's usually a known goal kicker. What's he kicked? 8, Joel, so I suppose I'd be happy if I kicked 8 for a season. He decides to play on. In fact, he had a breaking Keating, Jack Keating. Poor checking by the Storm. It's opened it up. The angle no longer exists. Keating stands. He stands just beyond 50. The man on the mark stands at 38. So Keating, very good chance to put this one through, Norm.
It is, and a better build-up from Sandhurst there. A kick out to Collins wasn't the best, but they were able to make the most of it after that, and Collins a lovely chip to Wharton.
Jack Keating, Barnard Street end. It spins nicely, holds up in the breeze, right on the goal line. Umpire says it's a goal. It was one of those ones
where the defence was right on the line, but they just couldn't quite get to it. Good goal, Keating. So they extend the lead here. Sandhurst, as I said, they look the potent team at the moment, hitting the scoreboard. They've gone to 3-5-23. The Storm, 4 behinds, 11 minutes gone, second term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, and that was poor checking in their forward line by the Strath defence. You can't allow, firstly, Wharton out by himself, and he was hit up with a perfect pass, and then he did the same thing to Keating, who found himself 20 metres in the clear.
So Sandhurst with the ascendancy in this ball game. Hosking with the tap down to the middle, but it's taken by Riley Wilson. Bounces a kick toward half forward. Stevens was up to meet it. So too was Hood for Sandhurst. Neither can keep it in. We'll have a throw in outer side of the ground. Of course, both teams with the blue armbands on in recognition of road safety this weekend for the TAC round. So a good initiative and certainly an important message worth sharing. And great to see both sides doing their bit to highlight the cause. Ball chucked back into play. Off the pack, taken by Gill. Curls it around the body. Webb's gone forward in this quarter, trying to create something. Got it from Bonnie. Kicks to full forward. It'll clear the pack. It'll bounce through. It was touched on the way, and it hit the inside of the post. So, Luke Webb got the double. He should get 2 points for that, just about,
Yeah.
I reckon. 5 behind. Sandhurst 3-5. 12 minutes played, second term.
Kerno played on from full back. Excuse me. He kicked Keating. Keating then coughed up the footy. It's a turnover. Shishka, he will turn it over. He kicked it straight to Kerno, who was standing deep in his defensive zone.
Yeah, poor kick by Keating. He didn't go back on the mark and just kicked it straight into the man on the mark.
Kerno plays on. He'll look to bring it down the swimming pool side. He'll launch it. It's going to go right to the line. It might be right on the line. Connick probably got a free kick there for interference. It was. Umpire agreed. Connick now. He'll look to bring it down swimming pool side. Up they go. Maxted, first hands on the footy. First time I've called his name this afternoon. He's got the footy defensive side of centre wing, albeit hard up against the boundary line.
Hasn't been a big goal kicker for them this season, Kobe Maxted, after doing great things last year. Kicked to half forward. Gee, he thought Hallinan had a fair piece of the mark in the end. Not paid. Ball goes to ground right on the chalk of the 50, and it's locked up. We'll have a ball up. Dean Goodridge always gives the ball ups around the ground plenty of elevation. This no exception. Reaching across is Mays to knock it away. Stevens there for the Storm. High kick on the left boot out toward the boundary line. Sharp's a long way up the ground. James Coughlin drawn to the ball. He can't quite take the mark. And it's over for a throw-in. Plenty of stoppages here in this third term. Not too much scoring to speak of. Only the one goal again going the way of Sandhurst. They lead by 3 straight kicks. Joel Peterson, John Hunter, Norm Jenkin with you. Saturday afternoon footy on Bendigo's Fresh.
Hosking grabs it out of the ruck, and then the handball was effective. McLean gives it by hand to Connick. Connick of the Dragons, inside forward 50. Looking for Maxted. Front and centre though, Hallinan did well for the Storm. Short pass by foot. Slater receives. Slater now. Short pass again. This game looks familiar every time they get the footy. Stevens, handball's teammate who will send it wide. Shishka is the target. Outstretched hands, then looks inboard. Brereton, it was a little half-assed lead. You've got to go harder than that, I reckon, if you're going to lead.
Half what?
Half-assed.
You're allowed to say that in this time slot?
Asked, did I say? He didn't really run
Family show!
He didn't run hard enough at it, Joel.
You said half-hearted, didn't you, John?
Yeah. But if you're going to play up forward like that, you've got to get the patterns going. You've got to give a hard lead, and it wasn't. Hence why they've only got 5 on the board at the moment. Hosking wins the tap. Double-handed tap to the front of the pack. Numbers. Slater. Storm will dish it off. Here's another chance to Sharp. Oh, it was at his ankles. It clean bowled everybody except Shishka at the back of the pack. He went on the outside of the boot, and he's kicked a goal. He was standing strategically. Got clean bowled the players in front of him, and then put it just on the outside. What a good goal it was in the end. Their first of the afternoon. 1 goal, 5, 11 the Storm. 3-5-23 the Dragons. 15 gone. Second term, footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, for the first time in the game, reward for effort. There was 5 handballs before that ball came into Sharp. It eluded Sharp with a bad bounce, but Shishka was able to pick it up, and he made no mistake off the side of the boot. About 15 metres out on a 30-degree angle.
That's a belter of a finish.
It was.
Struggled to get the run of the play and sort of bobbled it to himself, and the ability to sort of compose himself and slot it through from there. That was an outstanding goal from young James Shishka. Out of the middle of the ground. He's probably not that young anymore, in fairness to him. Hood, kick up toward half forward for the Dragons. Bouncing ball in front of Wharton. Blandford beats him to it. Right forward pocket for Sandhurst. They keep it alive. Wharton hooks it around the body. Collins makes the space, protects the drop. Here comes Conforti, bursting his way through. Fends one off. Gives to Lee Coughlin. Dragons with the instant response. And Sam Conforti just busting his way through the forward 50. Gets Sandhurst's fourth of the game through Lee Coughlin. 4-5-29 to the Storm. 1-5-11. Little bit of afters inside forward 50 as well. 16 minutes played, second term, Norm.
Yes, and that came from young Lockie Hood there. His running work from the centre. He had 2 touches in that, and he was the one that kicked it forward. But his work was outstanding. The effort he put in. He had 2 goes at it and then finally got it forward, and excellent handball from Conforti to Coughlin.
Restart, back in the middle. Hosking tries to pick it up. Does it every time. Cooper Smith in there as well. Couldn't quite grab the footy. Just marginally centimetres forward of centre. Storm in attack. We'll have a secondary throw up. Up they'll go in the ruck. Doing the ruck work at the moment is Mays. Dragons win it. Paul Pratt might have took his eyes off it just a little bit. Offering support was Matthew Wilkinson. He makes a path. He runs to forward 50 and he's coughed it up. He's kicked it straight down the throat of Blanthorne. He plays on quickly. Sends it further afield to Radcliffe. Radcliffe down the opposite side wing to where we're sitting. Now Connick getting involved. Carraher gave him the handball. Long kick there. It'll be Wharton. He'll turn and go. On the left. He kicks it into the pocket. He's got Collins breaking for him. But it was just wide. Bounces towards the boundary line. Over it goes. 38 metres around from the goal that the Dragons attack. Barnard Street end. Ball in. 29 playing 11. Dragons lead. 18 minutes gone. Second term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Toss back in over in the Sam Mildren pocket. The ball change room side. In it comes. Free kick will go to the Storm here. Wilkinson dragged off it and didn't get the handball away cleanly. And so Ben Lester from the last line of defence smacks it out of there on the right boot. Gordon attacks it with some pace. Can't take the mark. Ended up with McLean. He's dragged down by Geordie Wilson. Good physical bit of play that. Malik Gordon again, Norm, just attacking the ball with some vigour.
Yes, he's shown plenty of potential today so far in this quarter and a bit.
He's a good young player to watch. Saw him here a couple of weeks ago for the Pioneers against the Northern Knights and did some really nice physical things. He's not going to back down anytime soon, that's for sure. Here's Gill for the Storm through the centre of the ground. Just getting a hand in there was Carraher to knock it away from Shishka. Picked up by Nally. Made Carraher work. And maybe here the first real touch of the game for Lockie Sharp. Offloads to Stevens, who got run down. Lockie Wright came from nowhere, claimed him, and wins the free kick for the Dragons in the centre.
Short pass, Carraher. Carraher turns and goes to half 40. Kicked it to a one-on-one contest. Wasn't quite with the numbers as they'll turn it over. Storm will rebound off half back now. It'll be another turnover in the middle. Geez, it's just a comedy of errors. Sharp getting involved. Stoppage finally. They all dive in on top of it. Smack bang in the middle of the QEO. We'll have another ball up. So pressure was up there, Norm, and intensity.
Yes, from both sides. It's been good to watch, actually.
It is. Now, Clossy, he's involved. He tries to win it from the ball up. He can't. Who's going to win it out of this? It's really messy in the middle. It'll be Storm who emerge, and Bonnie on the end of it dishes off by hand. Storm will go forward. The kick came from half back. Shishka was the target. It's a hold, and it'll go to the Dragons. Shishka a little bit frustrated, and Nally with a free kick for the Dragons.
4-5 plays 1-5. 20 minutes gone, second term. Nally's kick up the broadcast side. Lester just stands under it and takes the grab. Plays on with a handball infield to Lawrence. Kicks to half forward for Alexander. Back to Hunter Lawrence, now inside the 50. Kick to Sharp. Can he collect at his bootlaces? He's going to have to do a bit of work with this. Offloads the handball to Wilson, now to Gill. Gill over the top to Riley Wilson. 30 out, steadies, fires, misses. The lot slams it into the right hand behind post. Out of bounds on the full, and Kerno will take it and bring it back into play for the Hurst.
To Hood. Hood short pass, so they've swung it across from back pocket to back pocket to Cooper Smith. Underneath the scoreboard. Beyond 50 down the line. Carraher is the target. Hits him on the chest, but he was over the boundary line when he hit him. And is that going to be 50?
It is.
What was a 50 for, Norm? They just all looked at umpire Goodridge and, well, they all started heading goalward.
Yes, it was either abusive language to the umpire or the ball was not actually given back to the Strath player on the full. It was bounced back to him, and I think that may be why the 50 was pinned.
Lockie Gill, tight angle, underneath the scoreboard, which is blazing because it's pretty dull here at the QEO. This will tighten it up a little bit. Let's see what he does with the footy. He kicks a goal. Good kick, straight off the boot. They all started celebrating. So at the 21.5 minute mark, they'll now go to 2-5-17. They're trailing 4-5-29. Tighten it right up. Only a couple of minutes remaining till half time. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, that was good pressure by the Strath forward line. They put the pressure on Lockie Hood that made the mistake with the kick forward, and they're now starting to get some reward for their effort when they go forward. Lockie Sharp seems to have moved up the ground from out of the goal square, and he's had a hand in the last two forward 50 entries.
Thoughts of Norm Jenkin with you on Footy Fresh. Gordon and Conforti now locking horns in the centre of the ground. Will be an entertaining duel. Riley Wilson's there for the Storm, out of the middle. Got the handball to Gordon. Back into traffic. Smith dives on top of it. And it'll be a ball up. In fact, it's Stagg underneath there. Another good player just walking past. Nick Smith, premiership player with the Storm. Good footballers everywhere here this afternoon, Norm. I'd include you in that club, by the way. Cooper Smith in the centre of the ground. No comment?
No comment on that. I don't belong with that level of player over my footy career.
How many games in the end, Norm?
419.
419. 419 of the best for the mighty Apple Eaters. Gordon out of the centre to Lawrence. Now to Sharp. Now to Riley Wilson. Over the top to Clossy. For another for the Storm. Not quite. He just didn't settle. He kicked when he was a little bit off balance there, Clossy, and didn't quite straighten up as he needed to. Could have made it a one-kick game. Instead, the margin's at 11. 23 gone in the second term.
Curnow for the Dragons. We'll kick it in. He's important to them, Curnow. Just they look stable when he plays. Plays on from fullback. 60-metre ball. Down the outer side wing. They'll set themselves. Might turn it over here, the Dragons, if they're not careful, but emerging with the footy would be Conforti. Received a little cute handball. He'll go down the line to Joel Wilson. Joel Wharton. Wharton collects. He gives it by hand. Over the top to Keating. Keating short pass. Collins is the target. It bounces towards the boundary line. Wright keeps it in. In fact, he stepped over the line when he took possession. And 30 metres around from the goal they attack. The Dragons, it will be a ball in. 29 playing 18, 24 minutes gone, second term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
We're in luck on the barbecue steaks, Johnny, at half-time, just quietly. Ball to be tossed back in.
You're in the know, are you, Joel?
Yeah, Pete Watson's looking after us. They always do a great job here at Sandhurst. Very hospitable hosts at the best footy ground in country Victoria. Be tossed back into play. Inside forward 50 for the Hurst. They kick the first and the third goal of this term. Sandhurst with the two either side of that. 2 goals apiece so far. We're 24 and a half minutes gone in the second term. Riley Wilson's been good again for Strathfieldsaye so far. Just follows up his own kick here after it was knocked back to him. Now to Clossy, now to Gill. They can chain it forward, the Storm. It was a little bit messy though when Gill tried to grab it. And Nelly came bursting through the other way. Got it to Curnow, but his kick around the body was straight down the throat of Lockie Ratcliffe. And the Storm defenders got her on the back point of the square. Dangerous kick into the middle, just over the top of Joel Wharton. Clossy took it. His handball to Mulquinny almost mucked up. He got it to Mays, who did fumble it away. Now Paul Pratt for the Dragons to Wharton and to Walt.
Well, the weight of numbers ended up with the Dragons. There was that many errors there. Now they've got it on half forward. Cooper Smith handballs to Jake McLean. Clever little tap to a running Paul Pratt. He was running shotgun. Goes to Collins. Collins only 15 metres out from goal. Deep in the pocket. He's got strength. He's got composure. Puts it on the boot and kicks it out of bounds. Wow, everything right there. In fact, he hit the post. That's getting a bit of a workout. All point posts.
Been a lot of posts hit so far.
We have, and they're all the point posts, so they're out of bounds.
6 posters of some variety, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's 29 playing 18. Sandhurst lead. 26 minutes gone, second term.
Council have to be up here during the week to do some reinforcement work on the bloody things. All chucked back in.
Did you swear then?
Oh, you said half-assed before. I'm allowed to go with that. Just got to get one in from you, Norm. We'll
Yeah, that's
meet
right.
Meet our requirements with ACMA for the year. Here's Slater on half-back. Good afternoon to ACMA if they're listening. Wilson, order the great man who might be listening, and he's about to send us a text to tell us off. Here's Webb, kicks inside the forward 50, back at the ranch. And Nally takes it away. He's turned himself into a really reliable intercept defender for the Dragons as Nally to Ireland. And now over the top to McLean. Out wide, Smith and Stevens locked horns. Smith with a little head fake. Got the handball away to Curnow. He pops the handball over the top to Wharton, who's really come into the game in the second term. Wharton's kick to half forward's a good one. Finds Paul Pratt. He's 70 out.
Paul Pratt now, he doesn't muck around. He'll go inside forward 50, hard up against the boundary line. Lee Coughlin come off his hands. Andy Collins, he roved it, sharked it, put it goalward. It was one of those clever little kicks that went goalward and went out of bounds again. But everything seems right except for hitting the scoreboard.
Yes, it didn't make the right turn there. It went end over end instead of a leg break.
What's he kicked today, Andy Collins, Normie? I've got him down as two goals straight, but 4 that haven't scored.
Yes, 2 straight, and there's 4 or 5 that haven't scored.
At the stoppage, here's Keating. He kills it back toward. He's certainly been busy.
He has. He's been one of the better players for Sandhurst. He's certainly turning back the clock today as Andy Collins.
A couple of those through no fault of his own, mind you. Interesting, Matt Thornton. We're probably only really just noticing this, but he's just kept floating a kick behind play at the moment. As they possess it across half-back to Strathfieldsaye. We could have recorded this in about the 2-minute mark of the game and just kept putting it back on a loop every time they get the footy and been down to the barbecue eating chicken steaks, I reckon, Johnny.
Yeah,
Slater's got it. He'll kick it to Ratcliffe. And Ratcliffe will chip it short to Slater. And now Slater will chip it short to Blandford over the top. No, he'll go straight up the pipe. That's a more aggressive move to Lester and now to Webb as they build off half-back quickly.
He'll go to Riley Wilson, who's standing on centre wing. He'll turn inboard. Shishka's there by himself, but it was a poor kick at the back of the pack. Curnow will track it. Tapped it neatly. That was beautiful work to James Coughlin. And they're out now across half-back to Walsh. Walsh short pass. It went 8 metres. Cooper Smith feigned a handball to Walsh. Then he goes handball forward. On the end of it, Stagg, Wharton getting involved. Now Noah Walsh received a handball. Now they'll go by foot, sending it wide. Coughlin. This is Lee, who's too far out to score. 70 out. Hard up against the boundary line. Short pass. Collins offers a lead. He hit him. Kept his feet. Comes inboard. By hand to Paul Pratt. Goes between his legs. Now Stormer under pressure. They'll need to have a stoppage here. They've got the numbers. Slater on the end of a handball. Over the top. But it's going to be a turnover again. Lee Coughlin. He fumbles. Cooper Smith. Handball further afield to Jake McLean. Goes goalward as the siren sounds. And I was just about to run out of breath. I was trying to give it to you, Joe.
I don't blame you.
Gee whiz. That was a bit of a build-up, wasn't it? It ended up in an anti-climax, to be honest. 4-5-29 Dragons. They lead 2-6-18. That's half-time here at the QEO in an entertaining round 30.
Ground and not finding his way into the last.
He's shallow inside, forward 50. Keeps his feet in, cleverly taps the Storm player.
Number one! Great work!
Nice bit of experience. 49 Dragons goal. They lead 36-18, 7 minutes.
Good body work by Lee Coughlin there. He just held his ground, was able to nudge the player forward with his forearms, which you're allowed to do, and then reach up and take the ground.
Storm, they're just making errors. Dragons look a bit more polished. You can't see the Storm getting up unless they just address some of those issues they're having with the possession of the footy.
No, and they need the next goal. If the next goal goes Sandhurst way, you'd nearly say it's game over.
Hosking versus Brereton. Overrunning the footy was Cooper Smith. Gill, give it by hand. Stevens getting involved for the Storm. They'll send it long, high, deep in forward territory. Noah Walsh has been super up there. He's getting a lot of possession of the footy. Carraher received a handball and ran into a brick wall that was Gill of the Storm. And it's a dead heat. Umpire said, I'll ball it up. Pretty tight angle. 40 metres out from goal. Storm attack, 38 playing 19. 16 minutes gone, third term.
Hosking front spot, try to win it down back over his head. Hood curls it out of the danger area, only momentarily. Mulqueeney's marked on the edge of the 50. Can he find a forward in some space? Because by virtue of his first set shot of the game, he may not be the man for the job here.
No, and I think he's going to find it hard to find a forward in space because Sandhurst have flooded back well.
He's going to have to try and take it on. He might yet prove us wrong, Norm. He'll kick it from right on the 50. He's not going to... Yeah, he's not going to prove us wrong.
No.
He's kicked that out of bounds on the full. That's not even close. That's unfortunate for Darcy Mulqueeney, but he never really looked like he was going to be the man for the occasion there. Long kick out of defence for the Hurst, and
Ooh,
it's off hands and out of play.
We had a good look at that. I thought that one was over the line when the hands touched it, actually. But
So, I'll ball it in. Hosking. He's been good, but it'll be good work there by Brereton. Tapped it at the front of the pack, but they're going to turn it over. Conforti got on the hand of a handball for the Dragons. It'll be one-on-one Thornton. A little bit of a shove is allowed to get away with it. He's directly in front, 40 metres out from goal. He didn't even look to kick it. He looked to give it off by hand to Paul Pratt. Paul Pratt now get collared Dragons. It was a good defensive tackle. Monty, well done, and gets a free kick for his trouble. Well, he saved them a goal there, or at least a forward launch. Did really well, Monty, and he'll spread it wide.
Not a good kick.
Poor kick.
Golly.
Jeez, these are the turnovers I'm talking about, Joel. He kicked it to Mays, and Mays, he just gave up in the end because the ball
Mays
was
got
just
lost.
was too far. Lost in the maze.
Lost in the maze.
Gee whiz.
yeah, well, the
Very
ball,
good by
for
you.
listeners, the ball was about 2 to 3 metres from Mays and it just continued over the boundary line. It was nowhere near being a targeted kick.
You can't miss that kick. When you play the possession game that they do, you just can't miss that kick. Ball will be spinning back into play. Junction of the 50 into boundary, left half forward. Dragons into attack. Slater had a bit of a fumble. Good enough to go back and get it. Handball knocked down by Paul Pratt over the boundary line to be tossed back in. Joel Peterson, John Hunter, Norm Jenkin with you. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon. 101.5 throughout Central Victoria or wherever you're listening online right around the world. Sandhurst by 19 points over Strathfieldsaye at the 18-minute mark of the third term. First versus fourth in Bendigo footy here in round 13. Good physical stuff at the contest. Another dump tackle. Free kick has been paid, and it's on again, and this time it's really on.
Oh,
Slater and Paul Pratt
WrestleMania.
going for it. Stagg and Leicester have separated themselves, but still, Baxter Slater's got Zach Paul Pratt pinned to the turf of the QEO. Kick up the centre looking for Sharp. Coughlin knocked it away from him. Conforti grabbed it. Sharp dumps him down into the turf, and another free kick. And now it's on in the middle of the ground.
That was dangerous. Sharp really slung his head. One of those ones you do see the reports
He
on
just
TV.
He just didn't need to do it.
Nah, Conforti.
I don't think Conforti was ever going to really hit the ground, but it's
Just
didn't
a
have-
look.
Just didn't have to do it.
Yeah, it's just the look of it, isn't it? So can 40.
And it's a really easy free kick to pay. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as you see that motion at an umpire, you're like, oh, well,
That's
we're just
easy.
going to pay a free kick.
Conforti walked around Sharp as if he wasn't there and then spots up Wilkinson. Matty Wilkinson takes a mark. And the crowd giving it to Sharp. Sharp just didn't have the wheels to go with him. Conforti's a speedster. And what a kick it was too. Just spotted him up. Pretty tight angle. And he'll kick it from 50. Let's see what he does with the footy. Wilkinson crosses the paint mark of 50. We'll get a good look at it. It's going to be a behind. Might even not make the distance. It'll come off hands. Just makes it. Didn't kick it straight enough. And another minor score. 5-9-39 it is now. The Dragons 2-7-19 the Storm. Almost 20 gone. Third term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, and James Coughlin waiting to come back. He's had work on that right hamstring and looking to come back on the ground now.
Blandford brings it back into play for the Storm. Finds Webb at half-back. We haven't seen a hell of a lot of. Certainly not as prolific as they would have liked him to be so far, Luke Webb. Chips it short. Straight to Sam Conforti. Gets onto the left peg. Inside the 50. Maxted caught behind hopelessly. And Blandford takes the easy intercept mark.
He's had another good day today, Blandford.
He has indeed. The Sandhurst netballers have got a great setup on the outer side there. Normally they've got the marquee and a trestle table going on just underneath the big peppercorn tree on the outer side here at the QEO after a big win over the Storm. Quite a few of the netballers congregating on the outer side.
I wonder if they've got chicken burgers over there. We might get a second feed.
Don't think they've got the chicken burgers on that side. They might have some ferry to cross. Now another free kick. Daniel Clossey's copped one across the shoulders.
Yes, there's no movement for Strath at present. It's all stationary and looking for a ball to be kicked to somebody with a teammate, an opponent on him.
Comes inside defensive 50. Gee, Monty's missed the target again there. He made it really hard for Mulquinny, who couldn't drag it in. Over the line and out of bounds. It'll be tossed back into play. Left half forward for the Hurst. Margin 20 points. Biggest lead of the game. 21 gone third term.
Coughlin now come back off the ground again and not looking good. He's grabbing at his right hamstring.
Hosking wins the tap from the ball in. Dragons picked up by Cooper Smith. It was a bit of a fresh airy. Hunter Lawrence getting involved. Offering support was Gill. Gill and the Cowie inboard, but Kerno's there. He did a little one over the top, probably a little bit too cute. Then he butters up his own ball, but Carraher offered support. Handballs it forward. Keating now, got time and space. Good ball it is to Collins, hits him up. Collins should have swallowed that, and he normally would have. 50 metres out from goal. Wharton keeps it in play. Paul Pratt, they're now 38. Go handball over the top. Conforti was running sideways and put it through. Went around the corner. And the weight of numbers and the intensity at the footy in the contest, Dragons, they won't be beaten this afternoon based on that. Very, very good goal. Collins a little bit of a mistake, but he butted up as well. They go to 6-9-45, 2-7-19 Storm, 23 minutes gone, almost ticked over. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, in red time, and that's a good goal for Sandhurst there. Collins, he fumbled what should have been an easy mark, but he was quick to put pressure on the Strath defender, and it was handballed through underground by Collins and picked up by Conforti, who made no mistake running into an open goal.
When Andy Collins dropped the mark, he had his big brother Alex just walking.
Yeah, walked past, yes.
Past beneath us. I thought, gee, I don't reckon the big Axel would have dropped one like that. Prolific goal kicker in his time in red and white. Of course, first Sandhurst here at under 18 level before going on to be a premiership player at Natty Bialaba and at Bridgewater. Of course, Dave Collins, a premiership coach in here at Sandhurst as well. Free kick in the middle. I'll have a premiership full forward too, Dave Collins. I think they'll have a
Dave was a good footballer.
Reunion for that 1983 flag that Dave kicked 100 goals in that season in a few weeks. The Dragons. Clossey, meanwhile, will get a free kick out of the middle for the Storm. Kicks to half forward. Geordie Wilson kept it moving. Gilto pokes it inside the forward 50. Gee, Noah Walsh is so clean to Coughlin, who kicked it into the side of the head of Hunter Lawrence. Ricochets back toward goal for Strathfieldsaye. Hood's there inside defensive 50 for the Dragons. He's pushed off it. Dean Goodrich crosses the arms. We'll have a ball up. 40 metres out from the Strathfieldsaye goal. They have not kicked a goal in this term. Just the one behind so far. Sandhurst lead by a game-high 26 points.
So the ball is smothered from the ball up. Riley Wilson tried to kick it. was a good smother defensively by the Dragons and puts it over the boundary line, and we'll have another ball in. 49 metres out from the Storm goal. They trail. It's 45 playing 19. Getting involved was Leicester. Couldn't make a path. Ground level also Clossy. A lot of players around the footy. Umpire Goodridge is going to have to blow his whistle, cross his arms, and says, I'll give you guys one more go at it. 25 minutes almost ticked over here in this third term. Sandhurst have been pretty impressive this afternoon. Big Bear Thornton in the ruck for Dragons. It'll be another stoppage. Umpire Goodridge giving the P a workout. 45 playing 19. Dragons lead. Just ticked over 25 minutes third term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Just the 2 goals in the quarter for Sandhurst, but they have done what they needed to. Diving forward is Riley Wilson. He's quickly tackled. Another ball up. 6-9, plays 2-7. 26 points the margin. Again, another afternoon where Strathfieldsaye really struggled to generate any kind of offensive flow. We saw it a couple of weeks ago against Golden Square, and seeing it again today. Lockie Sharp held goalless so far, and James Coughlin, one of the better players, his direct opponent for Sandhurst. Tumbled outside the defensive 50 for the Dragons. It'll come back in through Blandford and Webb. Now off to Gill. Back to Webb, who can load up the cannon from outside 50. Kick toward goal. Beats the pack. Shishka's there on the goal line. Can't get boot to ball. Nelly scrapped him all the way to the behind line. Through for a minor score. Just the second score of the term for Strathfieldsaye. Their second minor. 2-8-20 plays Sandhurst. 6-9-45 through 26 minutes.
Noel Walsh from fullback kicked it to James Coughlin of the Dragons, who set it wide looking for Hood, but sharking the footy will be Riley Wilson now of the Storm. Into the pocket, and he spots up Jordan Wilson, who takes a chest mark, and distance won't be a problem. He'll probably go around the corner. Just needs to be careful, Norm, because if the siren sounds as he does that, you'll be in strife.
Yes, that's true. You think Strath need this one just to stay in touch going into the last quarter. A goal here could give them a little bit of momentum going into the three-quarter time break.
25-point margin. Geordie Wilson, poor kick. I don't think he's just managed to... No, he hasn't scored.
Didn't even hit the post.
No. I won't even write anything down because I don't have to then, Joel. It's classed as a miss, isn't it?
Yep.
25-point margin. Dragons lead, almost 27. Gone third term.
Generally, having a shot at goal and not scoring is classed as a miss. That would fall into
in the statsman. It's when they do the stats, is that? I don't think it is included. Where is it included?
No, well, it's classed as a shot at goal, but it doesn't go down on your goals and behinds.
No, it doesn't
score. He's Coughlin inside defensive 50 for the Dragons. Listeners following along at home beautifully, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Here's Smith up back. The two great minds, Joel Peterson and John Hunter, trying to work things out. Connick's been good. Finds Curnow on the outer side with a kick. Now a handball to Paul Pratt. Paul Pratt kicks inside the forward 50. Bouncing ball. Getting forward was Lockie Wright. Kept it alive. Runs into Mays. Pushed back toward the boundary line. Holding the ball. Free kick. Well done from Joseph Mays to wrap him up. He had no idea the free kick was his. He was 20 metres away when it got paid. And so Mays will take the free in front of the scoreboard. Storm trail by 25 points, closing in on three-quarter time.
Mays just letting the clock run down. Then he goes down the line, well beyond 50. Good, strong, contested mark. Stagg of the Dragons. Jeez, overhead, one-on-one. Did very well. Now he's got the opportunity to launch. Jake McLean's lurking inside forward 50 with no one on him. Probably a bit too far in distance away. Now Stagg goes. Kicks it to a pack of players. Mark! Maxted right on the siren. It's allowed. Hit him on the chest. Boy, he was just smack bang in the middle of that pack and they split open and he emerged with the footy and he's got a chance. Very, very good chance of hitting the scoreboard here because he's a super kick, Norm.
Yes, he is. And as you say, the ball landed on his chest in the middle of that pack. As the siren blew, the umpire classed it all clear, so he's got a shot at goal.
Maxted now. Geez, this is important in the context of the game. If they're going to extend the lead, poor kick. Might be a minor score. Just snuck it in. 6-9-46 Sandhurst. They lead the Storm to 8-20.
So the margin 26 points at three-quarter time. It's as big a lead as Sandhurst has had in the game. Strathfieldsaye just couldn't generate anything going their way in that third term. And the margin is 26. 6 goals 10 to 2 goals 8. The Dragons beaten last week, looking to bounce back today. Strathfieldsaye winners last week after being well beaten by Golden Square a couple of weeks ago. And they've been held to a similarly low score to three-quarter time this afternoon. Sandhurst 6-10, Strathfieldsaye 2 goals 8. Final term from the Queen Elizabeth Oval coming up very soon. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Ball.
I tell you what, Noah Walsh, Nick Stagg and Zach Paul Pratt, all similar type players, have really stood up in that third term, and they've had a consistent three quarters, but they were very, very good in that term.
Couple of scores coming through. We'll give you in a moment as well from around Bendigo footy. Final term underway. Dragons looking to bounce back from last week's loss to Golden Square and spoil the Storm's sharp party. Lee Coughlin dragged down in the centre and will have a ball up. Gisborne 10-16-76 to Kangaroo Flat 5-8-38 at three-quarter time down at the Graveyard. Kyneton by 34 points over Maryborough have opened up a break in that game at Princes Park. And Eagle Hawk by 79 over Castlemaine, with Golden Square holding a 55-point lead over South Bendigo as well. Kick up toward half forward. Wright's been good for the Dragons. He was really busy in that third term. He lays a strong tackle there and brings Joseph Mays to the ground. And we'll have a ball up. Sandhurst kicking to the Barnard Street end. Here in this term, they lead by 26.
Up in the ruck they go. Hosking grabbed it out of the contest, and he should be collared for that, because that was one of the rare occasions where he didn't make a path. They were really onto him. It was strong work by Lester. He'll give it off to Blanthorne by hand to half forward. Players losing their feet. Dragons will win possession. Coughlin, clever tap over the top to Connick. The old 1-2 to Stagg. Short pass, Connick. He's hit up right. Right looking to go shallow inside forward 50. He had two to choose from. He had Paul Pratt or Maxted. Maxted took the mark. Cleverly, probably Paul Pratt let him take it in the end, because the man on the mark stands at 50. So I suggest that if either of those two players are going to kick it, it'll be Maxted.
Yeah, it's not beyond Maxted here. 55 out.
To the Barnard Street end, just to put a nail in the coffin. However, the ball has been holding up a little bit. He runs to the side, which is an indication he thinks that he can't make it. It does hold up in the breeze. And defensive marks being taken by the Storm. Doing well by Shishka, playing down back. Spots up Slater by foot. Slater short pass. He hits Brereton. Brereton halfway between half back and wing. Short pass over the top. Riley Wilson receives. Wilson plays on now. Runs his measure. Kicks it long but wide towards the boundary line. Will they be able to keep it in? They do. Storm now. Little kick over the top. It was okay. Might have been Mulquinny who puts it into the pocket. Carraher gets tacked as he take possession. Umpires letting it go. James Coughlin did it really well, and Lee Coughlin gets it on the end of a handball.
So Coughlin out wide. Jake McLean, as he does every time he gets the footy seemingly, just kicks it as high and as far as he can. Stagg tries to toe poke it forward, then just bashes it to Joel Wharton. That was really clever. Wharton up to half forward finds Collins. Collins has got it 60 from goal. Looking for an option inside the 50. Short lead from Wright. Looks that off. Now he squares it up. Looking for McLean. Good mark from Mays. Stands in front for the Storm. Able to intercept. 40 metres out from his defensive goal. Kick almost straight to Stagg. Lunging forward. Couldn't drag it in. Shishka was knocked away from him. Now it spills to Collins. Collins to the edge of the 50. Finds Connick. Connick's got it 48 from home. Flares his kick to the pocket, and the mark taken by Wright. 20 metres out from the Dragons' goal. He's a slight angle right of centre.
Yes, once again, good play by Andy Collins there. He was in the first passage of play when it came forward, squared the ball up. Unfortunately, didn't find a teammate, but followed up, and his second disposal was magnificent. Pinpoint accuracy.
The margin is 26 points before the kick. Lockie Wright hasn't kicked one today. On the right boot, he slams the door shut. 32-point lead to the Dragons to start the final term. 7-10-52. to the Storm, 2-8-20. We're 4 minutes gone in the last. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, ominous signs for other sides in the BFL as we head towards the finals. Andy Collins today, it's been vintage Andy Collins as he's turned the clock back and showed us what he's still capable of.
Well, he's got so much support down there, hasn't he? Maxted, he's come into the game right at times. We've seen him kick 4 or 5 the last month or two, didn't we, Norm? Back a little while ago now, but geez, they've got some options up forward. Will it be Storm from the ball up? It won't be. It'll be Conforti that wins it for the Dragons. Dances a little merry dance to Paul Pratt, a short kick forward. Conforti receives the handball back. Now straightens it up on the left. He's got a lead, but intercept. And Hallinan just takes it nicely for the Storm.
To your point too, Johnny, I mean, Wright's their leading goal kicker for the season. He's got 33 now, but that's his first of the game, and it's come this far into the last quarter. So they haven't needed his services this afternoon, which is a great sign for them. Mays dropped the mark on the wing. He had Lee Coughlin giving chase, so still labouring with that hamstring. Found Mulquinny up at half forward. He's spent the afternoon in the front half.
Didn't even mention Matty Thornton either in that conversation, Joel. So they have got options.
Mays has continued to run. Now on the edge of the 50. Inside the arc, he finds Sharp. Sharp plays on. A little bit of a dance, and then handballs to himself in the end. He's been caught holding the ball. I don't quite know how he could have held the ball when
fumbled.
he handballed
Right,
it to himself.
he handballed it,
Yeah.
and he should have been let go because once he handballed it, should have been holding the man. But the umpires said that he never lost control of the ball.
So James Coughlin gets the free kick, switches it to Nally, and now to Curnow, who's been another instrumental piece of that defensive 50 for the Dragons this afternoon.
Straightens up again, kicks it to Cooper Smith, short pass. He short passes it further afield. Just working it nicely here to Stagg. Handballs to a running Curnow. Curnow now, short pass over the top. They're doing what they like at the moment now. Wilkinson, by hand, a running Stagg. He'll go inside forward 50. Looking for Collins. He's in the area, so is Wright. Ground level. There's just Dragons everywhere. It's shovelled out towards the boundary line. Wright tracks it towards the boundary line. In trouble, it was Brereton who did well in the end. He managed to find space and he'll kick it further afield on defensive 50, but it's now with the Dragons again. Will they get another chance? Storm are in trouble here. Picked up by Conforti. He dances again, goes goalward and kicks a goal. No, he doesn't. Jeez, Joel. Jeez, I was up and about.
Thought he might have hit the post again.
He let me down, and that was the point post, and I still got excited. 33-point margin. 7 minutes gone, final term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football
It was a
Live.
very good point, though, John.
It was, yes. And while all that was happening, Riley Wilson for Strath has gone off. He's run himself into the ground today. He's done everything he can for this side, and he's getting a well-earned rest.
He's been a good performer for them again. As Riley Wilson kick in from the Storm, almost cut off by Paul Pratt. Now it spills down and taken away. Smith gave it to Hosking, and he turned it over. Shishka for the Storm, out wide. Mulquinny thought Joel Wharton ran through the mark. Pops it back over the top to Shishka. He kicked that brilliant goal in the second term. Strathfieldsaye haven't added one since. Both of their goals coming in the second quarter. They didn't kick one to the Barnard Street end of the ground at all. Now the kick into the centre. Gee, Paul Pratt almost stood in the way of Leicester. Ben Leicester's paid the free kick. Just defensive side of the centre circles. Handball's off to Lawrence. Lawrence floats his kick to half forward. Mulquinny had to assess the oncoming traffic. Walsh was taken down by Webb. Dean Goodrich blows immediately for a ball up. Right half forward, 60 metres out from the Strathfieldsaye goal. 2-8 to 7-11, margin 33 the way of the Dragons.
I really like the game of Noah Walsh. He's up there with the best. Up back he's playing, just rebounding, giving them options.
Now he's limping as well.
Now Cooper Smith got collared. Umpire Goodrich said, I'm going to ball it up again because you got collared and you got collared fairly. Up they go in the ruck again. It'll be Wilson, Geordie Wilson, who won it from the tap. Sends it inside forward 50 to the top of the square. Sandhurst tackling very well through Ireland. They win the footy. James Coughlin by hand. Gives it there to Curnow. Running support is also Nally. Sends it beyond 50. They look good here. Wilkinson, a little sneaky one over the top. McLean, further afield. Cooper Smith is away off halfback.
Beautiful little drop step. He freed up his teammate in Keating, got it to McLean, now to Collins. Collins out wide to Paul Pratt. Dragons on the burst. He was dragged down by Blanford. Kick skewed away to right half forward. Collins comes across to try and pick it up. He's got 2 Storm players to beat. He's not going to come away cleanly with the ball, and a ball up at right half forward for the Hurst. 33 points their lead. 9 played final term. Sandhurst looking to improve to 11-1-1 on the season. And Strathfieldsaye look like they're staring at a 5th loss of the campaign. Tumbling kick clear of defence up toward Bryce Curnow. He battles with Geordie Wilson for the football. Neither can come away cleanly with it. And we'll have another ball up still in Sandhurst attacking half.
Umpire Goodrich doing a lot of balling up at the moment. Hosking wins the tap for the Dragons. Then, as he always does, he wins his own footy and handballed it to Cooper Smith, who put it inside forward 50. Oh, at the back of the pack, it's Maxted, strategically positioned and kicked a goal. He was clever. He just let the ball bounce in front of the players in front of him. He was in the prime position at the back door, and it was pretty easy in the end just to pop it through. That is his second. And, well, if it was in any doubt, it's not now, because the gate is well and truly shut. 8:11:59 Dragons, 2:8:20 the Storm. 11 minutes gone. Final term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, a good passage of play by Sandhurst there. Finished off by Maxted, but all started down here in their back 50 when Noah Walsh, who's played a great game today, was able to get a loose ball handball out to Curnow, and then it just went down the wing.
He's fast become one of the more damaging players in the competition, Noah Walsh. Out of the middle, speaking of damaging, Hosking just pumps it inside the forward 50. Lawrence fights for the football for Strathfieldsaye. Can't wrench it free. A ball up 45 metres out from the Sandhurst goal. Dominant performance from the Dragons this afternoon. Really from go to woe. Never seriously been challenged for the ascendancy in the contest for any prolonged stage. Gordon off half back at the stoppage to Slater. Kick up toward half forward. Lovely take from Ratcliffe. Dragged down immediately. Caught holding the ball. Tanner Nally onto him in a flash. Wins a free kick back for the Dragons. Kicks out wide looking for Curnow. Came across the top. Should have given away a free kick and did. Shishka paid the mark. Just in front of halfway for the Storm.
Shishka now. Well, as he spot up Wilson, he has. It was a fingertip up. In fact, it might not be Wilson. It is. I'll go with the first one then, Joel. Short pass to Stevens. Or Clossy. It was Clossy the man that came inboard. But Stevens, it was a good pass. Found position directly in front. The man on the man mark, Conforti for the Dragons, stands at 42 metres. Fraction of a breeze behind his back, so let's see what he does. It's going to make the distance easily, but it's wide and just sneaks it in for a point. So he didn't have to labour on it at all. He just kicked it nicely. It's just the accuracy that was the problem. 59 playing 21. Dragons lead, 12.5 gone final term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
So they're out of danger in terms of record territory. I feel like I was saying this last time as well.
Yes, you were.
2-9-21, equal lowest score in club history if they finished with it. So I want to get a little bit of a move on here in junk time. The Storm, and they'll have the opportunity to. Free kick going on the outer side to Geordie Wilson. Chips it over the top, turns it over. Matt Wilkinson into mark. James Shishka just waltzing away from the contest. Not too pleased with what he'd just seen. Keating's got it, a youngster in midfield for the Dragons. 8-11 plays 2-9. Lovely kick out wide to Joel Wharton. Celebrated a birthday yesterday, and he's had a pretty good afternoon today as well. Scything ball to half forward. Here's Lockie Wright. Goes low inside the 50. Thornton dropped what he probably should have taken. Right there with him, Lester, who goes clattering into the turf inside the defensive 50. And a ball up 40 metres out from the Sandhurst goal.
They look strong, Sandhurst. Good effort today. Rebounding from last week, the defeat. Pretty heavy defeat by the Dogs last week, but they've got a chance to come again. Shishka, he handballs it to Lawrence. Lawrence will send it up to the outer side wing, but it'll be a turnover. Paul Pratt wins it for the Dragons, then gives it by hand to Curnow. Curnow inside, forward 50, big grab.
Big fly by Maxted at the back of the pack again. And he will line up for his second goal, Barnard Street end. He should kick this one, Norm.
Yes, he's a lot closer than his last one, which he made no mistake with, and a big chance to kick a second.
Maxted looking dangerous in the latter parts of this game. In he comes, slow and deliberate, just pokes at it a little, and another example, Norm, we say it every week, it wasn't his natural kick, was it?
No, we've seen it 2 or 3 times today. We saw it with Coughlin in the third quarter too. Did not kick through the football from inside the 50 and sprayed it, and it was the same with Maxted then.
Dragons by 39, 14 and a half gone final term.
Hasn't had his kicking boots all year. Kobe Maxted. Fend off from Stevens, then gave the look-away handball back to Hallinan off the kick-in for the Storm. Hallinan's at half-back, kicks down the line, looking for Sharp. Curnow floats across. Webb had the path cleared for him. Kicks inside the 50. Lovely delivery for Mays. Webb cruises past. He could get the journey from here. Mays chips it short to Lockie Bonney.
Nice bit of byplay between Curnow and Sharp going on in front of us.
Premiership teammates.
Yeah, there'd be some nice little words going on there, wouldn't there?
I can imagine there would be.
Curnow's taking it a lot more serious than Sharp, I'll let you know. Have a look at them.
Yes, it was a nice shepherd by Sharp to start that off to give Webb the chance to get that ball forward.
So Lockie Bonney, 3-time premiership player at the Strathfieldsaye Storm, kicked one last week, 5 on the season. His kick leaks out to the right, and that's a minor score. So won't be their lowest score of the season this afternoon. 2-10 Strathfieldsaye, 8-12 Sandhurst. 15 and a half gone. Final quarter, footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
And I think that's 5 points since their last goal.
Yep.
Curnow kicked it in from fullback, a little bit dangerously, but it was effective in the end to James Coughlin, who received. He'll come wide now. Broadcast side, Ireland receives. He'll go back inside defensive 50 whence it came. Curnow's playing kick to kick with him, and then Jake McLean puts his hand up and says, I want to get involved. Curnow runs and then receives a handball. Oh, he just stepped sideways and then decided to go long and wide to the outer side. Connick, by hand, a running Noah Walsh receives. Dragons sending it forward again. Good work. Mark Wharton tried to claim it. Umpire said it came off hands. Turnover now. Jordan Wilson spills it out to Slater of the Storm. Handball forward. Hood will track it for the Dragons. Slater let it go over. And across half forward for the Storm. They'll attack. We'll have a ball in. 38-point margin. Dragons lead. 17 minutes gone, final term. Footy fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Got to get a lot of players back, Norm. Do you think there's enough coming back for Strathfieldsaye to really make a difference in the grand scheme of things?
It'll make them a lot more competitive, but whether it gives them enough to be able to match a Sandhurst or a Golden Square, I don't think so.
Here's Connick, burst away at the stoppage, tumbles a kick inside the forward 50. Bounced like a horrible thing over the head of Collins, into the lap of Hallinan. That's a lovely kick out wide from Ratcliffe. Beautifully weighted onto the chest of Mulquinny, who's been okay today. He's been pretty average in front of the sticks, but he's provided them a target inside the 50 when few others have. Wilkinson got legged in the tackle by Clossy. And so Matt Wilkinson will take the free kick. Just defensive side of centre. Wants to move it on. Kicks up along the grandstand wing. Webb floats in from the side. Can't take the mark. Gill dragged off it. Spilt to Joel Wharton. Exchanges the 1-2 with Keating. Joel Wharton sets sail for home and finds Thornton at full forward. Big Bears latched his mitts around this one. And he'll kick from 15 metres out to make the margin 44.
Yes, good football again by Sandhurst. They were able to create that overlap, and Thornton made no mistake against a smaller opponent.
Yet to get on the act on the score sheet this afternoon, Matt Thornton.
Oh,
He
no.
pulls that to the left. He can be a streaky kick at times, and that was certainly demonstrated on that occasion. Margin back to 39 points. They're trading behinds here in the last couple of forward 50 entries. 8:13 to 2:10. Margin 39 through 18 and a half minutes of the last.
Blandford will bring it in for the Storm. The kick in from fullback. He played on and kicked it straight to Conforti. Turnover. Dragons standing at 51 metres. He'll put it to the top of the square looking for Thornton. Oh, big fly, Collins. has floated in front of the pack, and those that can remember, that was Royce Hart style. Plays on, poor checking Storm, goal, Collins. Umpire fell over and did the splits. He's called it a goal for his fourth. Geez, I had to wonder for a minute then. The umpire just dusted himself off as Collins. Geez, that was classic bit of aerial work from Collins. Turn back the clock, as you said, Norm. It's now 9:13:67. Storm 2:10:22. 19.5 gone. Final term, Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes, after Maxted's last couple of good efforts up forward, the Storm were worried about him taking the mark, and Collins just drifted across the front. There was no body contact and took a comfortable grab.
He's still a real difference maker, Andy Collins, especially on this big ground in September when the rubber hits the road. You can imagine that he's going to be a real weapon for Sandhurst inside the forward 50. Back in the middle, Hosking with the takeaway. Handball to Hood. It's James Coughlin, who's been terrific this afternoon. Out wide to Wilkinson. 45 points the spread. 20 minutes gone, final term. Only fortunate thing is, no games in the BFNL are particularly close, so we're not missing out on a hell of a lot this afternoon. Gents, here's Gill. Handball along the boundary line, well worked by Leicester. And then a tumbling kick finds Sharp, who's just forward of the wing, and he's been made to really earn his pickies this afternoon.
He tried to pick out a teammate in Bonnie, kicked it forward, but Bonnie couldn't quite mark it. Now it's at 51, Storm in attack. Got the numbers, Geordie Wilson tried to collect. Good tackle, Carraher. Ball spills over the boundary line. 55 out from goal.
Couple of those scores, Johnny. Kyneton by 60 points over Maryborough, 14-8 to 6-6. Eagle Hawk by 86 over Castlemaine, 16-10 to 3-2. We know that Golden Square up by 55 over South Bendigo at three-quarter time, and Gisborne by 37 over Kangaroo Flat at three-quarter time.
Yeah, and here at 67 playing 22 Sandhurst. So as the ball goes forward, a mark's been taken, however, defensively by Tanner Nally. It's really between Golden Square and the Dragons in my mind just at the moment. Maybe if Eagle Hawk, and we discussed it ad nauseum, if they can find some form, maybe they might have a challenge. But
yes, well, their up and down season continues today. With the results, they'll be back up to third on the ladder.
Well, all respect to Castlemaine, they're only playing Castlemaine, so let's not get too excited as the ball for Clossy goes inside forward 50 for the Storm. Nally tracks at Dragons, can 40 offers support, handballs forward to Keating, but it was just a little sidewards, and it goes over the boundary line out of bounds, and across half forward, ball in Storm attack. We'll have another ball in, 67 playing 22, 22 minutes gone, final turn.
Eagle Hawk, they've got a bit of work to do when things aren't going their way, I reckon. That's where they need to be a bit more convincing, is when the chips are stacked against them, how do they respond? All well and good to be downhill skiers, but you know, can you put the cross-country skis on and go back up the mountain? That'll be the challenge for Eagle Hawk as we head towards September. Slater's on hands and knees in the centre of the ground. Riley Wilson slips a couple of tackles, kicks an absolute dead pigeon to full forward. And Noah Walsh is back there and can clutch that to his chest. Another defensive game of A-grade netball down at Gardner Reserve. You'll be interested to know this afternoon, Norm, as the kick goes out of bounds on the full for the Dragons. It'll be a Storm free kick on the outer side. Gisborne have beaten Kangaroo Flat 32 to 25.
Well, the last game down there, Gisborne Castlemaine, was a very low-scoring affair too.
That was 32 to 29.
Yeah, something like that, yes.
So it was 11 goals to 3 in the opening term. Kangaroo Flat only managed 3 goals in the opening quarter, and Gisborne led by 8 at three-quarter time and ran out winners by 7.
Out of side, Carraher for the Dragons took possession. Short pass. Hits up Jake McLean. He'll give it back to Carraher. They're playing the going backwards game now. They've gone 60 metres backwards into the defensive zone. Nally now the Dragons. Now they look to come forward.
Might
Short
mean
pass.
that Kangaroo Flat slipped down to 4th on the ladder too, Norm, because Castlemaine have probably beaten Eagle Hawk today.
You would think so.
So that would mean Eagle Hawk are down to 4th on the Kangaroo Flat, are down to 4th on the table.
Contested footy. Half forward now, Dragons. They'll look to build. Cooper Smith. Short pass to a diving Maxted. Maxted now. Too far out. A decent 2 kicks from goal out of side. Basically across half forward. Right half forward. Oh, it's an underground, awful looking ball. Found its target. They've got numbers. James Coughlin got on the end of it, then gave it to Noah Walsh. He coughed it up. Also Cooper Smith, turnover now, sharp for the Storm, puts it into the middle.
Bonnie out to Hunter Lawrence, who's bursting away, takes a bounce, enters the 50. Can he stick it through? That's a terrific goal. That's a really nice finish from Hunter Lawrence. Game dead and buried long ago, but he pulls one back to make the margin 39 points. Just the third for the Storm and their first since the second term. 3:10:28 to Sandhurst 9:13:67. We're 24 and a half minutes into the final term. Just a couple of those other A-grade scores from today. South Bendigo by 67 goals over Golden Square. So Gisborne by 7 over Kangaroo Flat. Sandhurst by 43 over Strathfieldsaye. And Kyneton doing it pretty comfortably over Maryborough as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. The A-grade netball is going down the same path as the senior football. It looks as though Sandhurst are going to be right up there again this year, Joel.
Umpire Baxter throws it up. They're going to win it now. The Storm through Brereton, through the ruckwork. Goes inside forward 50. Shishka was the target. Wilson on the end of a handball. He kicked it straight to Shishka. I'm not sure that he meant it. Excuse me. I'm not sure that he meant it. And it's a goal. Well, 2 in a row, and that's his second for Shishka. So a little bit of a yelp late in this game. It goes to 4:10:34. A little bit of respectability creeping into it now for the Storm. 9:13:67. 25 and a half. Final term. Footy Fresh is Bendigo Football Live.
Yes.
Norm, the only difference between A-grade netball and senior footy is that Sandhurst are so far ahead of anyone else in the A-grade netball.
Yeah, that's right. I agree there.
I reckon the grand final is probably going to be about a 20-goal margin.
Yes, and I don't think the grand final at senior level this year will be a 20-goal margin, depending no matter who's in it.
No, that's sort of Golden Square 2011 type stuff, a 20-goal margin in the grand final. Matt Thornton's gone into the ruck here to spell Hosking late in this contest, sitting on the bench alongside Andy Collins just in front of us. From the restart, James Coughlin hands it out wide to Keating. Keating's been really good this afternoon, Norm. I've liked his game for the Dragons.
Yep.
Provided them with a bit of run and, you know, young bloke willing to take it on. Here he is again. Accepts the handball from Nick Stagg. Kicks it straight into Riley Wilson, who's been one of the Storm's best as well. Not that I'm trying to influence the votes. The ball will be tossed back in on the outer side. 26 and a half minutes gone. Final term. Sandhurst by 33 points, having led by as many as 45 here in this final quarter. It's been an assured performance from the Dragons this afternoon. One that cements their spot atop the BFNL table. From the restart, Clossy hands it to full back. Monty pokes his kick down the line, taken by Wilson. Now to Lawrence and now to Slater. Slater with a bounce through the forward 50. Kicks to full forward. Shishka back with the flight, takes the mark. In the goal square, James Shishka pulls in the grab. And he can end up with 3 on the afternoon from very close to where he kicked his third, which was a terrific goal in the second quarter. James Shishka will narrow the gap to 27 points, which in fairness doesn't do probably justice to Sandhurst on the scoreboard, because they have pegged a couple late here, have Strathfieldsaye. 5:10:40 they are to 9:13:67, 28 gone final term.
Yes, they've gone from halfway through the second quarter to time on in the last quarter without kicking a goal, and in the time on period they've been able to put 3 through to help their percentage a little bit, which could come into be assessed later in the year when they're looking for where they finish in the top 5.
It's kind of a little bit like if you're playing pool with someone and they've already got the 8 ball in and you still had 6 balls on the table. They put the cue in the rack and you've just fired all yours into the pockets.
The old-fashioned junk time, isn't it?
It is.
Storm will win it from the middle. And that's the siren there. Impressive display by the Dragons. They win round 13, 9:13:67 to the Storm. 5:10:40, a 27-point margin, and as we just alluded to, probably doesn't do it justice because it was over a long time ago. The Storm just managing to pinch a few goals there in junk